Hello there, very good morning to you as you join us on Razep Africa this morning, where we give you all you need to know in the world of Africa, where you will get to learn information, update, innovation, and everything you need to know about Africa. And today on the show, we would have today's Friday, so we'll have the agriculture for today and tomorrow. That will give us that very interesting segment that keeps us abreast with agricultural trends, what you too can do to be part of the need for food security in the continent. Well, we begin with the African news stories this morning, and we would start in South Africa, where members of South African opposition parties walked out of a questions and answer session by President Cyril Ramaphosa, who is facing claims of misconduct by hiding from police and tax authorities, a 2020 break-in at one of his homes and theft of large sums of foreign currency. Ramaphosa denies wrongdoing in the scandal, but Parliament is planning impeachment proceedings. The MK party raised the point of order, arguing that Parliament should not be continuing under this backdrop and demands Ramaphosa quit, which he says he would not do. The Constitutional Court last week said that according to procedure, the 2022 independent report should have been referred to an impeachment committee for further investigation. The multi-party impeachment committee still needs to conduct an investigation before any move to hold an impeachment vote. No time frame was given for that in Monday's Parliament statement. Meanwhile, the South African ruling African National Congress gathered for a key meeting as President Cyril Ramaphosa faces renewed impeachment pressures linked to the controversial Farmgate cash heist scandal. The Constitutional Court revived impeachment proceedings last week, reopening scrutiny over the theft of roughly $4 million in cash allegedly hidden at Ramaphosa's Falafala farm. The ANC had previously blocked impeachment efforts against the president in 2022. Despite mounting political pressures, Ramaphosa has ruled out resigning. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula said the president would challenge the Section 89 report through a legal review process following advice from his legal team. Mbalula also criticized what he described as mixed demands from Ramaphosa's opponents, saying some were simultaneously calling for impeachment and immediate resignation before parliamentary proceedings had even fully begun. Away from South Africa now and to Mali, an army reportedly carried out several airstrikes overnight Wednesday to Thursday on the town of Kidal in desert region in the north of the country. It has been under the control of Tuareg rebels and their allies from the JNIM jihadist group since their large-scale coordinated attacks across the country in late April. Residents have told journalists that they heard at least 4 explosions in Kidal on Wednesday night, which caused material damage. One strike reportedly hit a house near former market, destroying it, while another struck the governor's compound. A Malian army officer says the armed forces are targeting specific objectives and warned the strikes will be intensifying in the coming days. Witnesses say Kidal was unusually calm on Thursday morning, with very little traffic on the roads. I beg your pardon. We move now to Cameroon, where its gold sector has uncovered more than 200 illegal artisanal mining companies, most of them foreign-owned. The investigation was launched after huge discrepancies emerged between Cameroon's official gold export and far higher import figures reported by other countries, in particular the United Arab Emirates. The ministry said about 200 illegal companies have been identified in the East and Adamawa region, more than 95% of them foreign firms. According to a list published by the ministry, many of the companies are run by Chinese nationals. Authorities have called on the firms immediately to halt mining activities, but did not mention possible sanctions or legal action. Nobel Peace Prize winning Congolese doctor Denis Mukwege has said that a U.S. brokered deal in the Republic of Congo is more focused on plundering the country's resources than offering security. The Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has been ridden by decades of conflict with multiple armed groups fighting over its mineral-rich territory, including the Rwanda-backed M23 that seized swathes of the region last year. Washington brokered a peace deal between the DRC and Rwanda in December aimed at ending the long-running conflict on the insistence of U.S. President Donald Trump. The deal included an economic component aiming to secure access to the DRC vast reserves of strategic minerals for the U.S. businesses. However, the agreement failed to halt clashes in the East. And that's it for the agriculture. That's it rather for the African news update this morning. We'll go for a short break, and when we come back, it will be time for the agriculture for today and tomorrow. Stay with us. It's going to be interesting.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
In the heart of our field lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions from the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe. Agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 11:15 a.m. Mondays and Fridays on Global TV, Channel 365 DSTV, StarTime Channel 276, or YouTube Livestream GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Hello and welcome everyone to today's episode of Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow, where we promote smart solutions for a greener harvest. My name is Esther Itefia, your host. Remember, this is a media for the Agricultural Development Project of the GSA Initiative. That is the Growth for Sustainable Agriculture Initiative, an NGO that is committed to supporting African farmers through sustainable, innovative, and profitable agricultural practices. And as many of our viewers already know, Friday are to analyze trends in agriculture and look into the realities of the farmers in Nigeria. Today, we will be examining a very important issue in the agricultural sector, which is post-harvest losses, the hidden problems of Nigerian farmers. Now, when many people think about agricultural losses, the first thing that comes to mind is crop failure, flooding, drought, and poor harvests. But interestingly, do we know that a significant amount of losses actually happen after that bountiful harvest that we have? Imagine a farmer investing months into labor, fertilizer, time, and resources into production, only for a large percentage of that produce to spoil before it even gets to the market. Honestly, this is a reality for many farmers today. In fact, many Nigerian farmers understand this reality just too well, especially the farmers who are into perishable crops like the tomatoes, vegetables, and fruits. Sometimes the produce leaves the farm looking fresh and healthy, and by the time it survives the harsh realities of transportation, heat, poor storage conditions, everybody in the value chain begins to pray for a miracle. Highly perishable produce like strawberries, bell pepper, tomatoes are laid waste during transportation delays and delay in sales. Recent reports have shown that Nigeria loses between 30 to 50% of some agricultural produce after harvest due to poor storage systems, transportation challenges, weak processing facilities, and limited preservation infrastructure. And this has major implications not only for the farmers, but also for the food prices, food availability, agribusiness profitability, and national food security. Because if food is successfully produced but cannot properly be preserved, transported, or processed, then large parts of the effort and investment will be wasted. We have seen that major losses occur at post-harvest. So the question to ask is, what are the solutions? Well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we are going to analyze solutions to this problem. See you.
In the heart of our field lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions from the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe. Agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 11:15 a.m. Mondays and Fridays on Global TV, Channel 365 DSTV, StarTime Channel 276, or YouTube Livestream GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Welcome back from the break. Now we are going to look at solutions to the problem of post-harvest loss that almost all Nigerian farmers face. One major solution to this problem is improved storage systems. Sometimes agricultural produce spoils simply because farmers do not have proper access to storage facilities. Grains may be stored without adequately being dried. All grains must have a minimum moisture content standard before storage. So all grains have a particular moisture content requirement. For maize, we have 12%, for soybeans 12%, and the rest have different moisture contents they need. And when the farmers store the crops without testing the moisture content and just take the produce directly to storage, you now have the case of spoilage of these agricultural crops. Vegetables also lack cold storage systems, and they are highly perishable produce. And when they're exposed to harsh temperatures for too long, we now get these problems of spoilage. This is why discussions around silos, cold rooms, preservation systems, and improved storage infrastructure are becoming increasingly important in the modern agriculture. Another very important solution to this problem is value addition and processing. A lot of farmers are sleeping on this because honestly, this is one area where many farmers and agribusinesses can significantly improve profitability. Because sometimes the real value is not just selling produce, but in processing agricultural products into forms with longer shelf life and better market value. For example, cassava can be processed into gari, flour, or starch. Tomato can be processed into paste. Soya bean can be processed into oil, feed, and other industrial products. Once value is added, the chance of spoilage reduces significantly, while market opportunities and income potential increases. And this is one reason the government and other developing institutions are paying attention closely to agro-processing and post-harvest management. The African Development Bank, alongside the federal government and development partners, is currently supporting special agro-industrial processing zones in several states to strengthen processing, improve market access, and reduce agricultural waste. The first solution we looked at was good storage and preservation systems. The second was the value addition to the crop produce. Now, another important factor that farmers need to look at is transportation and market access. And this is something many Nigerian farmers can relate to immediately. Sometimes the harvest itself might be successful, but before the produce even survives the bad road, delays, poor packaging, the long distance, and the unpredictable roads to the market, the quality of the produce reduces significantly. Unfortunately, once quality drops, the market value also drops. So imagine putting all your effort, your time, your labor, and everything into a successful production, but before it gets to the market, the value of your crop drops. That can be very devastating for the average Nigerian farmer. So clearly, agriculture must go beyond simply producing food. The conversation is gradually shifting from how do we produce more to how do we preserve value, reduce waste, improve processing, and connect farmers efficiently to the market. In all honesty, this shift is very important for the future of agriculture in Nigeria and across Africa, because reducing post-harvest loss is not just about saving food. It is about improving the farmer's income, reducing waste, strengthening food security, creating agribusiness opportunities, and building more profitable and sustainable agricultural sector overall. So as agriculture continues to evolve, post-harvest management must become a major part of the conversation. If we truly want to improve food systems and agricultural productivity across the continent, then we have to put in the work to improve value, proper storage systems, and also proper transportation systems. This has been it for agriculture for today and tomorrow. Remember, this is a media for the agricultural development of the GSA initiative. I remain your host, Esther Itifia. Thank you for joining in. See you next time.
In the heart of our field lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions from the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe. Agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 11:15 a.m. Mondays and Fridays on Global TV, Channel 365 DSTV, StarTime Channel 276, or YouTube livestream GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Thank you so much to the Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow team for giving us that package right there. But we're back to the studio. This is Razep Africa. I learned so much, and I'm being joined now by our very own Anyetie Onyime.
Thank you very much, Joy. You keep twisting the name, but
I'm not twisting.
I don't take offense because
it's your name.
Yeah, it's my father. And Unyima is me, and put them together, my father and I. But I'm glad to be here this wonderful Friday morning. And I tell you, Fridays always look like the beginning of the week for me because it extends into a whole lot that has to be done within the weekend before we return on Monday. And I'm glad to be here today and to tell you happy weekend.
I want to understand what happens on Fridays. What happens?
A whole lot happens on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that cannot be compared to what happened within the week. Monday.
So while the rest of us legally are just resting as we should,
okay, so,
having had a long week,
yeah,
your week only just begins.
Yeah, of course.
That's an interesting
Legally just begins. So just like you use legally for those of you who do the whole resting on Fridays.
Yeah, like all legal people.
Yeah, so legal
who have
people
worked
also
hard
have a whole
during
lot
the
to
week.
do.
Yeah.
Because there is something we call in the media space urgent 2K. But I don't know if you've probably come across it before.
I've never come across
okay, so
urgent 2K.
Yeah,
so it doesn't ring a bell at all.
We'll discuss that after now.
Yeah,
because
but let me make it very clear. If the urgent 2K is if you're referring to me for this concept that I have never heard about, let me make it clear now.
Okay.
There is no space for your urgent 2K. But so much is happening across Africa. But before we go there, I just wanted to quickly have a talk around what's also going on as during the visit of President Trump to China.
Oh, yeah.
You know, geopolitics is the most interesting thing ever. Yeah. Because we're now hearing China, America tell you how he has had the utmost respect for China. He's had nothing but good things to say about President Xi Jinping. Mm-hmm. And everyone is like, really? We watch you. We listen to you all the time. But it's interesting and to see how China was meticulous in ensuring the reception, the American president's reception was top notch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't expect these world leaders to get to meet and then do not say good things about themselves in a way. It's sad to say. It sometimes sounds very hypocritical, but on the other hand, because you do not have problems with the country, maybe just with the person who's leading at the time, it does not stop you from saying, look, your country is doing well, even though you will not actually tell the person on camera, you are not doing well.
And the beauty about it all is, at the end of the day, it's all about what would interest my country, what is in it for my country, and all of that. And that's what I would want to see moving forward. I was hoping that the African News Update this morning would also capture President Tinubu's visit to Rwanda, where world leaders are gathered there with the African CEO Summit. And when you listen to the president, it's a thing of pride. First of all, let's talk about the dressing. It's a thing of pride each time I see my president properly dressed in the African attire. He's not pressured into dressing Western. I almost look at the South African president. I'm like, it would be nice to see him in an African outfit. But then what African outfit would he wear? When you look at South African, the male outfit, there's one where you would be shirtless and tie.
Yes, of course.
You can't do official.
No. Joy, there's
one way of tweaking it. Absolutely.
He has what it takes to be able to put on just to show peace, wear white and then still tie.
Right, like the South way of dressing.
Exactly. So
you could just make it official.
It doesn't need to go that bare, but then it will still portray, because this is talking Africa, speaking Africa, dressing Africa, acting Africa. But a lot of times we see ourselves doing the whole Africa talk, but
we obviously have not
portrayed.
Right. And speaking about South Africa, the president is battling his impeachment move because of the falafala farm story several years ago. But one thing is for sure, it's something Nigeria has not imbibed. In Nigeria, you become supreme the minute you are president, and that's what someone was saying earlier when he talked about how the party is supreme, and so whoever is serving under the party has to go on work within the ambit of the laws of the constitution and laws of the party. And it's interesting to see that a sitting governor, a president rather, is at the receiving end of impeachment. And interestingly, Britain is also, Keir Starmer is also facing his beat of impeachment threats and all of that. Interesting things unfolding.
Yeah, Joy, I had to pay a little bit of attention to that happening, and I realized that it is about the wealth of the country. So the president is actually facing these because of the wealth of the country. So at the moment where people will feel, you brought in Nigeria, so let me join you a little bit in Nigeria.
What do you mean by the wealth of the country?
Okay,
you mean the accusation?
Yes, of course.
The monetary, financial.
Definitely. It's financial.
Right,
so
absolutely. It's financial, right?
Yeah, so it has to do with the wealth of the country. And just like you mentioned earlier, in Nigeria, we would see, even as we speak, a whole lot of governors in the country had to move. In fact, some people who had issues that we thought would be brought to bear had to move to a particular
breaker. This is it for the person.
They moved into a particular party, and when they moved there, their sins were forgiven. So
no, I think that narrative is a very dangerous one. It was something that Oshomole said maybe carelessly when he said, "Come to the APC and your sins will be forgiven."
But Joy, in reality, we see these things happen. Even though Oshomole did not get to say it.
No,
even
but
if nobody
did say it.
Yeah, so Nigerians are not actually following what Oshomole said. Nigerians are following the reality of what we're seeing today happen in our country. And this is because over the time we see people who are supposed to be brought to book not again brought to book, Okay, so why? Because they now belong to somewhere, you know. So it's a call for concern, where even those who are seated as our leaders cannot, be brought to book, cannot be called to answer questions because, of course, they are seated on a particular seat of government. And for me, I feel what South Africans are doing, it's
insisting
actually
his resignation.
They're on course. They're on course. So that even if he is not outrightly maybe wrong, or maybe he has not done anything bad, let him actually prove that what he has done over time is in the ambit of the law.
Moreover, the beauty also is that it just flexes the strength of democracy.
Exactly.
Yes, above everything, this is an opportunity for a democratic government to flex what is within them as their strength. And African leaders across should also bear in mind that what they do would always bite them back if they are not careful. These accusation or allegation rather happened in 2020. So it's interesting to see how it eventually unfolds. But political leaders, public office holders should at all times. But the reason I wanted to stop you earlier was we must also commend the fight, the anti-corruption fight, and what the anti-graft agencies have indeed been doing.
Yeah.
We maybe in absentia, but we have an ex-minister that has backed 73 years in jail.
Yeah, of course.
That's something to also commend as well.
No,
and
we appreciate
these are
that.
the things that would form that deterrent.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we have been intentional enough and have captured everything,
Exactly.
but I'm also saying that we have gotten to a point where laws can be used against you if you are not careful and if you are not taking into cognizance.
But Joy, my concern is, I'm not cutting you there, but my concern is at what point does this law work on you, in our country, Nigeria. We see the sitting president, Cyril Ramaphosa, he's even coming out to say, he's coming out to deny his wrongdoing in the scandal, but the parliament is also planning his impeachment. And this is a man who is actually on seat. But, as against what we have here in Nigeria, I'm sorry to say, I keep bringing it back here, maybe because, of course, I'm from here, and this is home for me. We get to see these talks. Yes, they happen. You've just mentioned an ex-minister, 75 years, no problem. But at what point? Only at the point where he has left the seat. So as I'm seated as a Nigerian, I cannot call my governor, I cannot call my representative to order.
Why not? You can't call. How
because
many Nigerians remember to petition? So, and again, the responsibility
it
is on
is
us.
always.
Yeah, because we first of all do not petition. We don't say anything. We are not whistleblowers. We keep quiet in the face of a lot of things that are going on. However, you expect that the anti-graft agency would be everywhere. They cannot be everywhere until you take these cases to them. You cannot sit here and say, okay, it's only when they leave office. It's because of petitions. It's when they leave office that you see a lacuna of problems that they leave behind.
Yeah.
So it's only when you and I figure out something and we write a petition to the anti-graft agency for, say, a sitting minister, and they do nothing about it, that we can both sit here and say, oh, they do nothing about it.
Let's not write out.
We have not been participating as actively
let's not
in
also
the fight against corruption.
Let's not write out
and
completely
crime.
the fact that there are Nigerians who are actually petitioning. So let's not just write out completely.
Let's have conversations with them.
So,
that's the kind of conversations I want to have. Did you petition this person to the anti-graft
So we cannot say that
agency?
all Nigerians are not petitioning. Okay, so let's not just write it off completely.
I'm also saying that these petitions are often not happening at all. We just sit here and assume
they are mostly not happening.
Yeah, they are mostly not happening. That's all. I've also seen where civil society organizations raise concerns towards certain things, and it is taken up. I've seen it severally, where the person is invited based on what civil society organizations have sat down and brought up.
But Joy,
so
let me
we
also
must
draw your
be
attention.
we must be at all times.
Let me also draw your attention
putting
to
our
somewhere. Let me draw your attention to somewhere. Anti-graft agencies today would sit back, and then at the end of the day, you'd hear them say they did a cross mapping on an individual, and then they decided to go on a raid and arrested the individual. So why can't this also happen to those who are in government? Are they also placing their radar on those in government to also follow up on them, even while they're on seat? It is also a big concern. So a young man, whoever is doing his business or whatever he's doing, even though it is wrong, sometimes to the law, is being followed up. Radar has been placed on him. He's checked, and at the end of the day, he's raided, he's arrested, and is taken into the Yamtolo. So can this not be done to those who are also in office, so that it will not be only Nigerians who are supposed to petition, but the anti-graft agencies are also doing.
However, we are right. It's because the small thieves work more actively with the rest of us, and that is why you see the petitioning. The whistleblowers are working in this country, where you say, listen, these are where these guys are, these are the kind of things that they do. When they eventually raid, we now complain that you're not raiding the public office holders, you're not raiding these people, you're raiding these other people. I understand the fact that crime can be solved simultaneously, and I also recognize the many flaws in our anti-graft agencies and the slow pace, especially when it comes to the slow pace, and when it comes to politically exposed individuals. You see that they are more professional. They are not as swift. You hear them say things like investigations have to be done first, but it's different. I understand those flaws.
Good.
I'm just saying that while we are criticizing them for having those flaws, we should be a bit more human in our criticism, because they can't be everywhere every time. It's only when you raise concerns, you petition them, that they can work. And very often we see this petitioning a lot because these are individuals who are defrauding market women, everyone, and so it is that issue that I often want it addressed.
Well, for me, I think first and foremost, I must appreciate the South Africans, if I should put it that way, and for what they're doing.
Again, flexing their democratic muscles, right?
Maybe in a way, I'll also call on Nigerians to wake up so that we can see we can do the same. But of course,
Nigerians do not even understand that they have constitutional parts for impeaching everyone. Yeah.
So let's just see.
Okay, that's one of these days we'll do a vox pop and see how finally we would be able to get people's thoughts on it. People do not know that your senator is not doing well. You can impeach him.
Yeah, of course.
You may call the process cumbersome, but it does not change the fact that you can impeach. You can impeach, and that is why we are really celebrating what's happening in South Africa.
Yeah.
And now, again, like you said, it's not necessarily, we're not nailing President Ramaphosa. We're just saying that it gives us that hope that public office holders understand that they are not above the law, which, by the way, coincidentally, is one of the placards that's being raised at the moment. It's not above the law. Yes,
yeah, of course.
So he just like everyone should be subjected to the law and scrutinize to see whether or not he was in wrong. There was any wrongdoing from his path. So that's by that. With that, we leave the South African story
Yeah,
and
let's leave South
to
Africa.
Mali. Mali is see, after the passing of their defense minister. I've forgotten his first name, but I know it's Kamara. I remember that because somehow I really like that name. However, we're seeing a more coordinated attacks against rebels and bandits and all of that. And it's seeping into Nigeria. It's something that I expect Africa to start doing, because very often when it comes to the fight against terrorism and banditry, what we often see isn't that reinforcement. A general has passed, these many people have been kidnapped. You would expect that there would be counter attacks on these people, but I'm not saying there isn't. We just have to do better. But with this high scale, well coordinated attacks, it gives me hope that the Malians are very ready to wipe out banditry and insecurity in their nation, which is the kind of body language. I used body language somewhere, and somebody said it is a Gen Z. Everything is now body language. Yes, but it's the kind of body language one will want to see. If I have a brother or I have a sibling or anybody serving in the army who for sadly passes due to this, I want to know that my government is reinforcing. I don't want to feel like his passing was, or her passing was in vain, which is what Nigerians are crying about, where a general of the army was killed by someone who wasn't even qualified, trained,
who has not been close
qualified,
to
who is not even trained for combat, and one would expect all, would be loose just to see that we address that issue. But it just, after the initial news report, that my people will say that ended the story in Ejagam. That ended the story in Ejagam. Nobody is talking about that story any longer. And yet, it is that offensive that we expect to see that gives the morale. Imagine, for instance, that there is more people that have been deployed there to wipe it out. I don't know if I am being naive, but I do not think that the fight against insurgency and banditry is particularly beyond us.
Well, Joy, I don't think again that it is way beyond us. Let me just recall. In 2000, and I was still, I think, I was somewhere, if not in Cross River, Calabar to be precise. We could barely see our army vehicles, army officers, and then the day you get to see them, you'll be cold, and they had this straight face that they always keep. It drew some sort of regard to them. But today we get to see them everywhere on the streets, and then it makes our uniform, the army uniform, somehow not well respected anymore. So
because you see them often,
everywhere.
Go and say hello to them. You will find the respect.
Somehow
go say hello. Go do something wrong in front of them.
Why am I driving at? Sincerely, just like you've mentioned, a general passes and is killed by bandits, those who are not near being trained.
The kind of training that especially our troops have received. And it is just in the news, it is talked about, the family is consoled, and that's all. I imagine what would have happened if such had happened in the early 90s. We're seeing Mali. We're seeing what's happening
in the early
in Mali.
90s, in the late 80s. Even in the early 2000s, when I'm talking about a mess seeing an army officer, you are trembled.
I don't know why you were trembling if you were doing the right thing. But
so,
let's move on to the illegal mining.
Mali is now saying we are in a few days to come going to intensify. So this is intentionality.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
To fight it. I don't know if Nigeria can be all out to fight like this.
Or just give that again body language that we are on the offensive against terrorism. Let's move down to Cameroon, where the gold mining, artisanal mining for gold, 200 illegal artisanal mining companies have been figured out, most of whom are foreign companies. Yeah. Now, this story really hit home for me because it's something that not just happening in Cameroon, it's happening all over Africa, where these companies would not liaise with structured government offices and mining industries, and proper mining industries that will ensure proper environmental assessment.
Yeah.
I keep saying it. What it does is completely horrible when they leave the communities to fend for themselves, and these communities have to walk around mining pits. People die from those mining pits.
Course.
So if it is not, if it does not go through the proper environmental assessment that it should go before any mining process is done, there are licenses that these individuals must have. But these foreign companies want to cut corners, and so they put these people through all of this, and you will be surprised how much these people get. I saw a report from a foreign news media talking about how much these people get from these mining companies. A woman in Sierra Leone went viral for crying because her son died in a mining pit that collapsed.
Yeah.
But they've been begging them not to go do this thing. But it's not just Cameroon, it's across Africa.
It's across Africa.
And we should be intentional about how, we allow these individuals come ravage what is ours.
My concern also goes down to two aspects of this discussion. The first is where you will expect that these companies will give some sort of what we call the corporate social responsibility, at least come back to the society.
They should not do illegal. Because
if they had come out legally, they will be able to carry out some corporate social responsibility.
They just do not want to go through the process.
Yes, exactly, so that they will not do this. I remember some I think a year ago in Akwa Ibom State, where the whole village had to come out to say, please, go back, leave us alone. Let's just be there. Let the natural resource that God has blessed, let it just die there. Because you're not doing anything to help us. Government came out to say, no, don't worry, we'll do something. And at the end of the day, nothing was done, and the people had to again carry out the peaceful protest.
That's after ravaging the. And
yes, exactly.
We need to talk. We really need to hammer on the environmental effect, the consequence
let me give you an instance.
An aftermath of this artisanal mining.
Yeah, so a whole lot of these things happen. They get into the waters, they destroy the natural
habitats of our aquatic animals.
Exactly. And then you don't even talk about, I go to a place in Akwa Ibom State, a place called Ibeno in Akwa Ibom State.
I've been there.
Okay. If you go there, a man driving into that area, just look at the roofs of homes there. They get to change their roofs almost bi-monthly yearly, almost 2 times a year, bi-yearly. Why? Because the
soot from exploration of oil.
Exactly. Gets to spoil these things. And I mean, those people still have to suffer to be able to fix up those things for themselves without receiving anything, either from the government.
There's also, the petroleum. This now you have digressed to
I had to
petroleum
just
exploration,
a little bit
because the Nigerian Petroleum Act defines it. These IOCs have what they must do to host communities.
Exactly.
They have allocations that they must give, a percentage that they must give to host community. Defines what a host community is. But if you also know, I don't like to be too quick to point fingers. Sometimes, even in the communities, I've had reports of when these host communities come, apart from having to settle community leaders, youth leaders, women association, everybody comes up to get their share of it way before the organized allocation that should trickle into these individuals. So it now becomes tacky. But let's not digress too much. We're really running out of time. Quickly, I would just like us to finish up with the other story of the Congo,
Yeah.
the story from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where it's talking about Washington's deal that is unfortunately going to mean simultaneously, while they give you aid here, they must have access to your natural reserves and natural
Yes.
resources. And we're seeing that a peace laureate is saying no to this. What's it called now? A Nobel Peace Prize winner, Congolese in Congo, is saying no. Mukwege is saying no to that right there, talking about how it's not fair to the people of Congo. I listened to his speech and it was quite touching as to how these international and these foreign organizations and countries come and have deals that are not necessarily people-centric or does not capture the problems or does not capture the interests of the African people, but only all the time, just so that, they can have these deals that ravage Africa all the time. But with that story...
And that is just the clear definition of the adage, or I don't know what it is, that the devil gives you a cup and takes your head.
Okay,
And
I don't know who you're referring to as again, allegedly. That's what we cover. We cover ourselves with that. But that's it for the African news update. The Razep Africa story this beautiful day. We've had a wonderful time discussing these very important stories that are making rounds across Africa this morning. This is where we end today's edition. Thank you so much for staying with us. Until next time, have yourself a wonderful rest of the day.